Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to start our new unit, which is chapter solution from class 12th. So this particular section has a weightage of about 7 marks out of 70 marks, which is 10%, and is very simple and very scoring topic in your class 12th exams. So let us start this chapter. So solutions, we have already seen, we have this terminology. It means a mixture where there are at least two components. So we know the basic definition of a mixture. And since we know the kinds of mixture or the types of mixture as homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture, so solutions we are talking about here are the homogeneous mixtures. And let us revise what a homogeneous mixture is. It is the mixture where you cannot distinguish between the components which are mixed together. So that is a homogeneous mixture solution. So it has at least two components. And those components are called solute and solvent. And when in a mixture we have only one kind of solute, so when there is one solute present in a solvent, then such solutions are called binary solutions or binary mixtures. Similarly, if I have two solutes mixed together in a solvent, then since the number of components is 3, it is called a ternary solution. For example, if I am dissolving NaCl in water, so two components, it is a binary mixture of sodium chloride and water. And suppose if I am mixing water, NaCl and some glucose, then since there are three components, it is a ternary solution or ternary mixture. So depending on the kind of solutions, we can basically classify a solution into three: true solutions, colloids and suspensions. True solutions are basically where the solute are very small in size as compared to solvent. So these are basically clear homogeneous mixtures. There you don't see the boundaries. As I said before, here we are talking about homogeneous mixture. So this is what the solution is always to be. So the solutions we will be studying in this chapter are true solutions. So let us see the basic definitions of colloids and suspension. So suspensions are basically when the solute particle has a very large size as compared to the solvent. For example, you have a chalk solution. Okay. So those chalk particles are suspended in water. And chalk is basically calcium carbonate in water. And there these suspensions are heterogeneous mixtures. In case of colloid, the solute and solvent are of comparable size. And this has special properties which don't fall into true solutions or suspensions. Properties like Brownian motion, Tyndall effect, and so on. So that's why it is studied separately from true solutions. So right now we are going to study true solutions, which are also homogeneous mixtures, and these can be a binary mixture or ternary mixture in the present case. Now let us see few more terms. Just in case if you counter these terms or if you come across these terms, you should be able to understand the terms. The terms are miscible and immiscible. So miscible means which can be mixed. And immiscible means insolubles basically. These are called solubles. So miscible means suppose water and ethanol, which is an alcohol, are miscible liquids, whereas water and benzene are immiscible liquids, means they do not form a solution, they are insolubles. Right, so these are just the term that you need to know. Now let us see how do we identify and classify solute and solvent. So far we know whenever in a mixture the small amount of a component is referred to as a solute, and whichever is present in bulk amount or large quantity is referred to as a solvent. Now let us take an example and verify this. What does the amount mean here? So suppose I am mixing 18 gram of water with 49 gram of sulfuric acid. So you have to identify which is a solute and which is a solvent. So like I said, if it is the amount, then since the amount or the mass of water is less than that of sulfuric acid, so does this mean that water is a solute and sulfuric acid is a solvent in this case? No, because here the amount refers to number of moles and not the mass. So as you have studied in your class 11 chapter 1 that the amount of a substance, which is one of the 7 base units defined by SI system, one of the unit was amount of substance and the unit was moles. So whenever we are talking about the amount of a substance, it is always referred to as moles of the substance. So let us see what is the mole of water and sulfuric acid in the mixture. So in case of water, since we know number of moles is always mass upon molar mass. So mass of water upon molar mass of water. And what is the molar mass of water? It has 2 hydrogens. Each hydrogen is 1 and oxygen is 16. So this is from hydrogen, this is from oxygen. Total of 18 grams per mole. So given mass is 18 and molar mass is also 18. So this is 1 mole. Similarly, in case of sulfuric acid, the mass of sulfuric acid given is 49 grams and molar mass of sulfuric acid will be 2 hydrogen, sulfur is 32, oxygen is 16 into 4. So this is 2 plus 32 plus 64, 98. So 98 grams. So this is 0.5 mole. Now we know since the number of moles of water is more than number of moles of sulfuric acid, therefore water is a solvent and sulfuric acid is a solute in this case. Alright, so here amount we are talking of in terms of moles. So this is one of the point that classifies a solute and solvent depending on their amount or number of moles in a solution. Now the second factor that classifies the components in terms of solute and solvent is the phase. Phase of solution. Let us see an example to this. So suppose I am dissolving nitrogen gas in water, which is liquid phase, and I am getting H2O. So this is a phase of my solution which contains nitrogen gas. So in this case, water which has the same phase as that of solution will be the solvent. So basically in case of solution, the phase of solution is always equals to the phase of solvent. So where does this apply? This is another example where we have cadmium, which is a solid metal. When mixed with mercury, which is the exceptional metal that exists as a liquid at room temperatures, this forms a cadmium mercury amalgam. And this cadmium mercury amalgam has a phase of solid. So it means this cadmium is the solvent or solute. Sorry. Since I said solvent and solution will have the same phase, so solid and solid. So if this is the solution, then cadmium has to be the solvent and mercury in that case becomes a solute. So here we know in case of amalgams, so amalgam in generally are the compounds which are formed by metal and mercury. So mercury के सभी compounds को हम amalgams बोलते हैं, जैसे zinc amalgam, cadmium amalgam. So these amalgams are solid. So that's why the solvent is the metal and solute is the mercury. So these are the 2 points which can justify that in a given mixture what is a solute and what is a solvent. Next comes an important factor and few definitions or terms that should be known about a solution. Can be classified depending on the concentration or the amount of solute. So here we are talking about solubles. So the solute is able to dissolve or interact with the solvent molecules, and based on that how the concentration affects the overall solution and how various solutions are classified accordingly. So first one is unsaturated solution, saturated solution, then there is super saturated solution. So saturated solutions means more solute can be dissolved. It means these are also dilute solutions. Dilute solutions where the amount of solute is very small as compared to solvent. So those are unsaturated. Saturation in itself means which is completely filled. It has no more space to take. Whether you are talking in terms of saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons, it is a general term. So saturation means it is complete. It is completely filled, or whatever space was there, either to take a proton in case of hydrocarbons, or in this case of solutions, it is unsaturated means it has space. It is not completely filled. It still has some space, some volume, some amount that more can be added to a solutions. So such solutions have lower concentration of solute, and lower concentration means lower than their solubility limit. The solubility limit I am talking about is related to what you have done before in your equilibrium part, class 11th. So solubility is the uppermost amount or the limit for a solvent to dissolve a solute. Okay, so here the amount of solute is less than not just solvent but also less than its solubility limit. So more can be dissolved. So suppose I have added only 0.1 gram of sodium chloride in water, it will dissolve. If I'll add 0.1 more, it will still be soluble. If I add further 0.1 gram of sodium chloride in say 100 ml water, so I'm keeping the amount of solvent fixed and just increasing the amount of sodium chloride in water. So since I can add more sodium chloride to it and still make a homogeneous solution, so it is a dilute solutions or an unsaturated solutions, so I can add more amount of solute in it. Saturated means it is filled, completely filled, nothing can be added more than that. So it is the upper limit of solubility. When the amount of solute is equals to the solubility limit or the solubility in general of solute, okay, in that solvent. So suppose upon keeping on adding sodium chloride in water, I reach to a point where no more sodium chloride can dissolve. So what will happen? In the same glass of water which has a constant amount, say 100 ml of water, so as I increase the amount of sodium chloride, it will keep on dissolving until a limit is reached when another addition of 0.1 gram of sodium chloride is not dissolving, so it is going to settle down. So this is the solubility limit. So at this point where no more amount of solute can be dissolved is a saturated solution. So we will call that it as that I have prepared a saturated solution of sodium chloride, means the amount of sodium chloride present is to the upper limit or the solubility value of it in water. Suppose I can dissolve a maximum of 20 grams of sodium chloride in 100 ml water. So in this case the solubility limit is 20 gram in 100 ml. So that is the saturated solution or the concentration of the solute in the solvent. Now how can I dissolve this extra amount of NaCl? I can always heat the solution. So if I will heat the solution, then this excess amount will also dissolve. And when this dissolves, I can still add more of 0.1 gram of sodium chloride. So as I increase the temperature, more NaCl can be dissolved. So mathematically we can write here that the amount of solute or amount of NaCl, since we are talking about NaCl, is more than its solubility limit. So such solutions are called supersaturated solutions. To prepare supersaturated solutions, we need to increase the temperature, since here solute is a solid and solvent is a liquid. So supersaturated solutions have more concentration of solute than its solubility limit. So as we gradually, suppose after certain additions of sodium chloride, I remove it from heating and keep it for normal cooling. Okay, so no more heat is added to it, it is kept for cooling. What will happen? As the temperature will decrease, its solubility, the extra which was dissolved, that will also decrease, the amount that is excess than the solubility limit. So it will tend to come back from solution phase to the solute phase. So there is a reversal of from aqueous phase to solid phase. So there you will see kind of solids, and this process is called crystallization. Or deposition also. So here it was dissolution, and upon cooling it will getting crystallized or turning back to solid or crystallizing out. So this is also one of the way to purify certain crystals by first dissolving it at a relatively high temperature and let it it cool down to form its crystals. So these are the certain terms. Let us see the factors that can affect solubility of a solute. So the basic factor there are basically three factors: temperature, pressure and intermolecular interactions. Temperature, pressure, we know these are the physical parameters. Intermolecular interaction, inter means in general, whenever you come across this word inter, it means between two different. So like you have inter college competitions or inter school competitions. So your school is competing with some other school, that is inter. And intra means within the school you have some kind of competition. Okay, just like you have international, means among the two nations, two different nations. So inter means two different. Molecular means molecule basically. Interaction means interaction, there forces between them or forces. So the forces which are acting between two different molecules is called intermolecular interaction. So what are the two different molecules we are talking about? In this case it is solute and solvent. So if solute interacts strongly with solvent, it means strong interaction. If the interaction is strong, it means solubility will be high. Similarly, if solute interacts very weakly, so this arrow is basically signifying the distance between the two. If the interaction is strong, they are going to be closely held together or close to each other at least. If the distance is large, it means they are not tightly bounded or they are not very, in proximity. So it means they have a weak interaction or solubility will be less or low. This will come across for each solutions we are going to study. Let us see the kind of solution. So these are the basic factors in whatever solution we are talking about. So we will specify the role of every factor depending on what solutions we are going to study now. So let us see the classification or types of solutions. This types is dependent on or classified in terms of phases. Phase means solid, liquid and gas. The three phases that you have done before and always done in chemistry and otherwise also. So suppose I am talking about solute and solvent phase and we are just doing different combinations of the phases. Suppose I am talking about a solid solute and solvent can be solid, liquid and gas. So when a solid is dissolved in solid, these are called solid in solid alloys. Solid dissolved in liquid are kind of solutions. So alloys, example brass and bronze. Solid and liquid. Solid is NaCl, just I said, and liquid is water. So these are the kind of solutions. Solid and gas. So you must have come across the word smoke. Smoke has the solid particles and it is present in air. Then solute being liquid and solvent again can be solid, liquid or gas. The example of liquid and solid, we have done this just now, amalgams. Cadmium or zinc mercury amalgam. Liquid in liquid is easy. Suppose you are mixing ethanol and water. Liquids in gas. This you know that water in as a moisture or mist, you can say, in air, or you can say mist or fog be. Then there comes gas in solid, liquid and gas. So gases in solid. So one is H2 gas on platinum. This is used for hydrogenation of hydrocarbons. Then gases present in liquid. This you know, whenever CO2 is dissolved in water in carbonated drinks. Gases present in gases. This is also all around us, which is air. So these are the possible examples or possible combinations of solute and solvent. The basic thing is what we are going to study. So in this unit we are going to study solvent is always going to be liquid and water in this case. And solute can be solid, liquid and gas. So we are going to study gases in water, liquids in water and solids in water. So this is a solute and solvent is fixed. So these we'll take one by one and see how the gases solubility in water is affected, explained, observed and so on and so forth. Thank you very much. Do subscribe this channel to keep updated yourself for the upcoming videos, and do attempt the questions to define your understanding about the topic. Thank you very much.